And now let's bring in the President-elect's new Chief of Staff, Reince Priebus. You see him there at Bedminster yesterday, joining in those transition meetings. And Mr. Priebus joins us now. Let's start with the meetings that President-elect Trump had this weekend. What can you tell us about the meeting specifically with Mitt Romney? How likely is it he could be the next Secretary of State?
Well, first of all, this all started back on that Wednesday morning when President-elect Trump said to all Americans, no matter who you are, your race, your gender, your background, look, I want to lead all of you. I want to make all of you proud of the work that we're doing. And he wants to be a president for all people. So he's bringing America together. That's part of what happened yesterday with Governor Romney coming in, bringing people in that were once rivals, saying, let's lead together. Let's talk about the future of our country. They did talk about opportunities for Governor Romney to potentially be involved, but it was also a coming together moment to say, I need to lead everyone. I need you on board. And I will tell you, it was a very substantive conversation ranging from all levels of national security, domestic policy, foreign hotspots, conversations that run the gamut. And I will tell you, it was a very, very good, cordial, personable, gracious meeting, and it was nothing but positive.
Well, so how likely is it that he could be Secretary of State? Is that a possibility?
Well, I think anything is possible. But we're talking to a lot of people, Martha, and certainly Governor Romney is a talented person, and it's possible. But we're also talking to a lot of others, and you see the list today, folks coming in. Obviously, Rudy Giuliani's come in. We've talked to Nikki Haley. General Kelly is coming in today, and many others for all of these positions. And
so Giuliani's still a possibility for Secretary of State?
So, sure, of course. But I think what Americans really need to see, though, is a president-elect that's working 15 hours a day in meetings alone, bringing in the most talented people in America to get the advice, the counsel, the conversation. That's what I think people should take from these meetings, and I think he ought to be commended for the work he's done in bringing our country together.
Let's talk about retired General Jim Mattis. He is a Marine Corps legend. I can tell you right now the troops do love him, and Mr. Trump seemed very impressed by him. What's the likelihood he could be Secretary of Defense?
Well, I think it's a very real possibility, but obviously we've got more work to do, Martha. He is a hero of our country. He's a hero for everyone in America. I think he's a figure that can also bring America together, someone you can point to no matter who you are and say, this is a man that every American would respect, and someone certainly more than capable of leading the Department of Defense at a time when we need to get serious about ISIS and our security around the globe, whether it be China, North Korea, Syria, Libya. You know as well, Martha, you're an expert at these things. We need leadership, and certainly General Mattis is a leader, and I know that President-elect Trump loves leaders like General Mattis.
And let's talk about another retired general, and that would be Mike Flynn, who he has chosen as National Security Advisor. He is highly admired for his work as an intelligence officer, but he has a history of controversial views about Islam. He said in an interview in July and at a conference in August that Islam is not a real religion, but a political ideology masked behind a religion. Is he in line with how President-elect Trump views Islam?
Well, I think so. I mean, look, phrasing can always be done differently, but clearly there are some aspects of that faith that are problematic, and we know them. We've seen it. But it certainly isn't a blanket for all people of that faith. But Mike Flynn is one of the most highly respected intelligence officers in America. Certainly no one can deny that. He is someone that has been at Donald Trump's side, President-elect Trump's side, for now for a very long time. It's someone who the President-elect respects and trusts, and he's an unbelievably gifted, smart person that will lead that post with honor and dignity.
Let's talk about immigration. Will President-elect Trump suspend all immigration from regions compromised by terror, as he said? And what countries does that include? Does it include Middle East allies like Saudi Arabia? Does it include Turkey, Pakistan, France?
Well, I think what he said is, and obviously that policy will be spelled out more clearly once his team gets put in place and once he confers with the leadership at the State Department and the Secretary of Defense. But clearly, this is something that has already been articulated both in the House and the Senate and by President-elect Trump, which is we will pursue policies to temporarily suspend immigration from areas that harbor and train terrorists until better vetting is put together. So now where that is, what countries those are, what areas we're talking about, that's something that will be more clearly articulated at a later time. But the position
it's possibility
hasn't changed.
France?
Well, Martha, look, like I said, we're not going to get into all the details of where these hot spots are at, but that policy will be more closely articulated once the team gets put in place. But just so you understand, this is not some sort of out of left field policy. This is something that has been sitting many different times in the House and the Senate that either couldn't get passed or the president wouldn't support.
Let's move to Mike Pompeo. Candidate Trump said he wanted to bring back waterboarding and worse, and his pick for CIA Director Pompeo has been a proponent of that as well. So will he ask his Republican-controlled Congress to pass a new law to get rid of the current law which bans waterboarding?
Well, I think we have to take a deep breath here and just realize what people are seeing happening in this new administration, which is the best and the brightest of all Americans coming together, even some rivals like Ted Cruz. Obviously, we talked about Mitt Romney, the best and the brightest. Mike Pompeo was #1 in his class at West Point, at the top of his class at Harvard Law School, editor of the Harvard Law Review, highly respected, praised from all angles. These folks, these smart people, along with President-elect Trump, will formulate that strategy, Martha. They will confer with generals in the field, and they will do everything they can to protect and secure our country here and abroad every single day that they wake up in the morning.
Okay, let's move to another one of Trump's picks, Senator Jeff Sessions. As we said, Senator Sessions has been accused in the past of making racially disparaging comments. Now his nomination is opposed by, let me read this list, the NAACP, the Congressional Black, Hispanic, and Asian Pacific American caucuses, immigrants' rights groups like the American Immigration Council. Does all that opposition from minority groups give you any pause?
This is something that happened 30 years ago. Look, you have to look at this man's life. He's an unbelievably honest, dignified man who started his career working against George Wallace, who then spent 15 years in the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney for 12, AG for 2, filing desegregation lawsuits all over Alabama. He's someone who voted for the Civil Rights Act. He voted for Eric Holder. He worked his heart out to give Rosa Parks a congressional medal. This is a man who has spent his entire life fighting for equality, freedom, and opportunity. It's an honor to have Senator Jeff Sessions accept such a post. He's an incredible man, and even the people 30 years ago that voted against him said they regretted it and that he was a great man, an egalitarian, and this is something that I think is very political, very unfair, and I would hate to be judged, and I think you would and everyone out there to be judged over a phrasing of one single thing that I've said. Look, he's a good man, he will be confirmed, and he deserves it.
Okay, one final question on Senator Sessions. He's questioned the investigation of Hillary Clinton's email server and said Clinton violated the law with the Clinton Foundation, and Lieutenant General Flynn led chants of lock her up at the Republican National Convention. Is their selection an indication that Trump will order an investigation of Hillary Clinton?
No, their suggestions for nomination is an indication of Donald Trump's willingness to do everything he can to follow through on his campaign promises, but also protect our country here and abroad. I think it should be a great sign for all Americans that he's leading by bringing people together to make our country great again.
Okay, thanks very much for joining us, Mr. Priebus, and congratulations to you.
Thank you.